It's Tuesday, November 9th. I'm Rem.
I'm Scott.
And this is Geeknights. Tonight, the lost art of the rented game.
Let's do this.
So, of course, now that it's the end of biking season, no chance of biking until next year, I just bought all the lights that I needed for my bike to be biking at night.
I often buy things at a season, and then the season comes around, and then,
Yeah, it's weird. I never thought to do it until, like, the very end of bike season. I'm like, oh, bike lights. Now I got them sitting here. One thing, though, the one I got, the rear light, there was this, like, Amazon description of it, and it was like, this thing will annoy the ever-living, and then it was fuck, kind of blocked out, of anyone behind you, and no car will miss you. It is bright as fuck.
Alrighty.
So... it is bright as fuck.
Oh, god damn it. What kind did you buy?
I bought the eye fucker, apparently.
It's the evil light. That can't be legal.
Well, it's this bright on purpose for during the day. You leave it on this solid beam. That'll basically blind anyone. And at night...
why would you want to use it at all during
it has
the day?
a patented annoying blink pattern. So no one can miss you. This thing is so bright it hurts.
I mean, there's two kinds of bike lights, right? There's see and be seen.
Yep. This is be seen. It's the rear light only.
It is definitely a be seen, but that is like be more seen.
Well, if I blind the driver behind me, he might crash, and then I won't have to worry about him anymore.
Into you.
I mean, how annoying is this shit? This is great.
So Amazon had this sale where it was buy 2 games, get 1 free.
Like any games?
Well, no, video games. And
I was going to say, I'm going to go buy some board games.
No, and the thing was, the list consisted mostly of pretty much every new video game for consoles, right? Like almost all of them.
I should have paid attention.
So it was actually a rare opportunity to get a Nintendo game for cheap, because if you bought 3 Wii games, even if they were the $50 kind published by Nintendo that never go down in price even after 20 years, you could actually get 33% off. So,
damn. Because, yeah, if I enumerate all the physical media games I own for my Xbox that didn't come free with the Xbox, I got Super Street Fighter 4.
Mm-hmm. Me too. so I ordered Rock Band 3 because I'm going to get that guitar when it comes out in March.
Yeah, I'm just waiting, but I will get that too.
And I ordered the Kirby with the yarn.
Oh, yeah, I heard that was good.
And the
remember.
Metroid one, even though I heard it's not so good, but it's a Metroid game, so whatever. I basically got one of the games for free because there was a sale. The thing was, these games showed up, and I hadn't yet replaced my Wii or Xbox, so I went on Amazon and I bought a Wii and I bought an Xbox, and for the same price as they came out just now with a Mario Anniversary Edition Wii that comes with the Mario Brothers Wii.
Oh, yeah, isn't it like red or something, too?
It's red, and it also comes with a Wiimote that has Motion Plus in it.
Not bad.
So it's the same price as the regular old Wii. So I got that. It didn't show up yet, though. And I also bought an Xbox, which is basically the same as the Xbox I had before, only the new slim kind. And it comes with Forza and some other games.
Oh, I got Forza came with mine. I've got it. I've never even opened it. It also came with like Halo something.
This comes with not Halo. It's like Alan Wake, I think. Whatever.
I got Halo something and Forza something, and I have not
So
even
the thing was,
them.
I ordered the Xbox, and then I ordered the Wii. And the Xbox was going to come like this week, but after I ordered the Wii, they combined them, and now they're coming in like 2 weeks. It's like, oh, you fucks, I got these games. I just bought these games, now I can't play them because you didn't send me the system.
See, luckily, actually, of all things I've been playing lately, Scott Pilgrim I've been actually working through. It's actually kind of hard.
Oh, the beating up game?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really hard. You need help to beat that shit.
Yeah, I've been trying to beat it on my own just to get, I was never that good at those kinds of games anyway, so I'm working my way up.
You're really good at just turning around and beating up your friends.
I believe what I was not good at was dealing with the fact that certain unnamed partners would jump in front of my goddamn lead pipe.
Hey.
I'd be beating a boss up, and then Scott's like, herp-da-derp-da-der.
More like you positioned your lead pipe, at the exact spot where I was going to be.
There's something wrong here, because when you played with, Adam, it was fine. When I played with Adam, it was fine. When you played with me, lead pipe face.
I think it's just you're trying to do it, obviously.
No, if I'm trying to do it, I just turn around and kill you.
Which you did often.
I do, sometimes.
All the time.
But not all the time.
All the time.
Sometimes. Actually, I was playing Counter-Strike yesterday, right? And I kicked the terrorist. We're landing like dust. And I just rush in. I kill like 3 terrorists, and I circle around back, and I run forward. I'm doing great. And one of my teammates literally falls down like from the ledge, turns around, sees me, and deagle headshots me dead. Right
Team
there.
Kill was on?
Of course.
All right.
Team kill is like the best way to play.
Anyway.
And yeah, that sucked.
Okay.
That anecdote didn't really go anywhere. I was playing a lot of Counter-Strike. And Super Meat Boy. I actually bought that.
I was going to buy it when I got my Xbox.
The best part about it is the fact that it's a hard console
But fair.
FPSer. It is hard but fair. But it does the replay thing where once you finally beat something, it shows simultaneously every failed attempt.
No, that's awesome.
So basically, on some of the hard ones, you see this sea of like 1,000 Meat Boys dying and one Meat Boy making it through.
That's awesome.
You'll see me like 100 of them just barely missing the bonus. It's good times, actually.
I kind of maybe I should play it.
The game's actually really fun.
I do. I want to get it. I just don't have an Xbox because it was stolen.
No. Oh, no. Poor Xbox.
It's going to take like a couple weeks for a new one to show up.
So you got any gaming news?
I actually have Xbox news.
Xbox news?
So people don't realize this, right? But like Xbox games are actually sort of in like 4 or 5 different categories. And it's hard for people to understand this, right? There's Xbox games you buy on a disc. There's Xbox games that are full-on buying a disc games, but you buy them on the Xbox and you download them. You don't have to get a disc. Then there's games that are like sort of like these live play games where it's like you don't have to download the whole game. You can sort of play it. Like, I don't understand really how it works. But anyway, then there's Xbox Live Arcade games, which is like it's sort of basically the same thing as WiiWare. And this is what you get with your Super Meat Boys and your Scott Pilgrims, right? And your whatnots. It's like a full-on game. But it's not a disc game. It's like but it's not an indie game. It's actually a real publisher makes a game that's supposed to be a downloaded game. Like Puzzle Quest is in there, that sort of stuff.
A lot of them are basically just slightly better versions of Flash games.
Yeah. But then there's the indie games, which are actually separate. And it's like the indie games, you have to make them with XNA, and there's all these limitations on what you can do.
And apparently you have to make all of them abstract shapes jumping in rhythm. Because 90% of them are abstract. They're basically Vib Ribbon.
Yeah. But basically, these indie games, just anyone can make one, and then you have to submit it for approval. And basically, approval means like 10 people check it out to make sure there's no bugs or whatever. And you meet certain requirements, like it will work at different resolutions, and it has a demo and whatever.
I might go for it. I've been learning the XNA.
You just have to meet these requirements, and then it's in, and you can't charge more than $5, and you have to charge at least $1. I forget exactly. And then it goes in. And basically what happened is they came out with XNA 4, and the thing is they took Silverlight, which was originally competing with Flash, and now they're basically saying, hey, make apps for the Windows Phone 7 using Silverlight instead, And so now instead of competing with Flash, which isn't going to work, they're going to be like, hey, it's a development platform. And it kind of works that way. They're sort of remarketing it. And then they're like, XNA. XNA originally was used to make Xbox, PC, and Zune games. Not like, well, Zune is dead, but make Windows Phone 7 games with XNA. Yeah. And they basically redid the whole XNA Creators Club website to really target it at the phone development. And the whole indie game development part sort of disappeared. Mostly, not completely, but mostly. And in the new Xbox interface, which came out because of the Kinect, they moved the indie games from one section to another, and everyone was like, are you trying to get rid of us? So they caved and moved them back, which is good. But even so, it's like, it looks like Microsoft, they already treat these indie game people like crap, and then it's like, why even have it in a separate section? Just let people who make games, and let them put it in the Xbox arcade section with all the other games.
What they're afraid of, even though I'm not saying this is a legitimate fear, they're afraid of the old Atari situation. They don't want people to log in, go on Xbox Live Arcade, and be like, I want to buy a new game. And it's a sea of shit.
Well, here's what you do, right? If it's shit, you
put
don't
it
let
in the
it
shit
in.
category. No, you gotta have a category for bad games. I would say there should be a clause that if a game is bad enough, you have to let them distribute it, and it doesn't charge any money.
It doesn't really matter, because if you just go on the Xbox and you go to the Xbox Live Arcade, you say, show me the best sellers, and there's all the games that you want.
Yep.
You don't even have to go searching around. So none of the shitty games are going to show up there, so who gives a crap? And another thing that I don't like, they should let people put up games for free. If I want to make a game for free, I should be allowed to do that.
I know.
Even evil Apple lets you do that.
Because I couldn't imagine ever making a game, short of like a big deal game, that I would stick up there that
Plus,
I would actually want to charge money for.
Even big companies might want to make a game purely for promotional purposes. Like maybe they want to make a game that's solely for advertising. They make a game based on a movie that's about to come out, and it's not a very good game. It's just a promotional game.
No, they're not going to give that game for free.
Why would they want to charge money for that? They should just make it free.
Because promotional games get bought by grandmas who don't know better for nephews.
But this is Xbox Live Arcade. This isn't disc in the store.
Yeah, but grandma will do it anyway somehow.
Grandma can't possibly buy a game on the Xbox. I don't think.
Well, you know, we're gonna have someday. We're gonna have the techno grandma.
At most, grandma will give you Xbox Live points to buy a game. But you know,
I already bought Super
if you want
Meat
people
Boy.
to go, let's say Tron, you make a Tron game, a crappy little Tron game to promote the movie that's coming up, and you make the game free. They should be allowed to do that.
Is there a minimum price? Can I be like a penny?
Yeah, it's $1.
Oh, that's not that bad.
Still, would you pay $1 for a promotional piece of shit that might as well be a crowd?
Maybe they don't want that stuff in there.
But the thing is, they could have that stuff in there. It would help them out.
Plus, at the same time, one thing, I mean, I can't imagine a game I would make
Look,
that would
Apple
be so crappy. I mean, I'm not saying I agree with them. I'm just saying it's not that bad.
The only thing is, right, is like, on the one hand, we look at the Atari example and we say, oh man, if you get a ton of shovelware, you're fucked.
But on the other hand, look at the Nintendo example.
Look at
99% of NES games are shit.
Look at
unplayable shit.
Look at everything since the Atari, right? Let's see. DS, GBA, the Wii.
See now, Scott, here's the difference.
PS2.
Here's the difference.
Oh, tons of PlayStation 1.
No. Here's the difference. The shovelware we get with the old Nintendo seal of approval or seal of quality or whatever, those games at least will boot and will play to completion.
Well, even the Xbox Live indie games, they forced them to do that.
Yeah, the Atari games, some of them wouldn't.
That's true, but
neither did Action 52.
My point is that the most successful moneymakers are the people who are loaded with the shovelware. iPhone. Come on.
Except that's all pay shovelware.
This free shovelware.
Yeah, but the pay shovelware is where the money is.
I'm just saying, if people are going to pay for a fart app and then someone else is going to make a free fart app.
They still pay because the pay one's better.
And that's making Apple mad bank, then Xbox should also have the free and paid fart apps.
Actually, an Xbox fart app wouldn't be that unuseful.
Everyone can see on the TV that you're making farts.
If you could run it in the background and bind it to a key.
And then it would fart over the microphone to the other people in multiplayer.
Yeah. So I'm going to skip a lot of the details of this, but this is an article from October 20th about how some dudes made hacks for StarCraft 2 to cheat at the game in single player, and some other people made ones to cheat at the game in multiplayer. And there was the brouhaha where Blizzard was banning people for cheating in the single-player game.
Gee, this reminds me of something. BNetD?
Ha-ha! Fucking Blizzard. Why do you always do the same stuff? But what amazed me was
I think most people don't even know what the hell BNetD is.
We're old. That's why we're making that's the theme of our new Geeknights t-shirt.
Back in the day, there was just as many BNetD news stories on Slashdot as there were SEO stories. I bet people don't even know what that is either.
Wow, I feel really old suddenly. And this show's even going to make me feel older. But, so, the rationale for this, which is amazing, is that if you cheat in the single-player game in an unauthorized manner, you can get
does authorized cheating?
Yeah, we really need to get on that shit.
I need that so bad.
Do you see that College Humor of 3 okay StarCraft players against one world champion?
Yeah.
He's just toying with them.
Well, I mean, the thing is, it's it would be okay almost if it wasn't, I don't know. It's why does that give me a bad feeling? But Michael Jordan or Magic Johnson playing against a normal person doesn't give you a bad feeling. It's yep, that's how it should be. But when a StarCraft guy does it, it's oh, it's so wrong.
Because Michael Jordan is to basketball a pale comparison as to what these StarCraft people
but
are.
If you go to play basketball against the worst guy in the entire NBA,
he'll kick your ass.
The guy who warms the bench all season, right, and never even touches the ball, you're still gonna.
I have a feeling StarCraft is like that too.
Yeah.
Anyone in a league, I got no chance. I won't even get a unit built, I don't think.
But it's why does it feel okay for when it's a sport or something legitimate, but it feels like there's something cruel and wrong and amiss when it's StarCraft.
Well, one, there's something hilarious about imagining the Detroit Red Wings playing against some 6-year-olds.
South Park.
Yes. And two, I don't know. I think it was because that video had the guys playing, film the two sides, and the people trying to beat the expert are I think he's just toying with us. I think he could beat us at any time. And it was true.
It was.
Anyway, so the rationale for banning people who cheat in single player with unauthorized cheats is that it messes up the achievement system. Yeah.
I don't even have to say anything
Yeah,
about that.
I'll just let that go. The thing I want to point out is that Blizzard is going one step further. And Blizzard, we met a bunch of your developers at PAX. And
Well,
you
not
guys,
a bunch. You
a
met
few.
2 guys.
And though you guys are totally cool, this is not a disparaging of you. Blizzard is suing and pursuing legal action against 3 developers who made hacks.
I'm pretty confident that if Blizzard consisted of nothing but developers and artists, that this would not happen, right? It's simply that, it's like, go to any company. Go to the evilest what's the evilest company you can think of?
Right now it's BP.
All right, so you go to BP, right? And you find the guy
What I just said is in no way an indication of any like actual advice to invest in any company. I have to say things like
so
that.
we go to BP, right? And we go and find like the guy who drives the truck to deliver the gas, or the guy who makes the website.
He's not evil.
They're totally just normal, non-evil dudes.
Watch, maybe they are evil.
The only is really
it's just Umbrella Corp.
It's just maybe a few evil people, or maybe just a couple people who are like, they don't like what they're doing, but it's their job. Like, there's that web developer. He's totally not evil. But then, the boss is like, you got to improve the Google ranking. I brought in this evil SEO guy. You got to do whatever he does, or he says you're fired. And you're like, oh, fuck, I don't want to do evil SEO. And then it's like, aha, you have to do it. And the SEO guy's like, hey, it's really easy to make a ton of money selling this SEO bullshit to companies. I don't care.
Now, here's the trouble.
I know it's evil, whatever.
From the first day I got my cable modem and I went online and I played Quake 1 against other people, I was afraid of cheaters. I wished cheating was illegal. I wanted nothing more than a way to punch through the screen at people who were clearly cheating.
Yes.
At the same time, it is not illegal to cheat in most situations in the world. You can cheat at Monopoly with your friends.
As long as you don't cheat in a casino, it should be totally cool.
Yeah.
I think what most games need is they simply just need like what Half-Life has, which is like, hey, this is a no-cheat server, and this is a cheat server. If you want to cheat on the cheat server, go nuts.
If you cheat on the non-cheat server, banned forever.
Yeah, that's, why not?
I caught a guy cheating the other day. I'm playing Counter-Strike.
How come StarCraft doesn't have the okay cheat server and the not okay cheat server?
Well, the thing is, here's the trouble.
I remember Diablo 2 actually had that. In Diablo 2, you could play on the open BattleNet or the real BattleNet, and the real BattleNet was harsh. It's like if your guy died there, you were dead. It was serious business to play on the real BattleNet. But if you played on the open BattleNet, it was just like, hack your save file, do whatever the fuck you want. It's open BattleNet. It's multiplayer, do whatever.
Duplicating items. Oh, yeah.
Duplicating the whatever, that ring that gave you +1 to everything.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, how are they suing them? It's not illegal to cheat. It's not illegal to help people
cheat. Are they
cheat.
violating the EULA, maybe?
So, quote, when the users of the hacks download, install, and use the hacks, they copy StarCraft 2 copyrighted content into their computer's RAM in excess of the scope of their limited license set forth in the EULA and the terms of service.
It's the EULA. Yeah.
To create derivative works of StarCraft. So, I bring this up on a Tuesday because this language, almost word for word, comes up on Mondays a lot because this bullshit is the reason, like, fundamentally, our laws are not keeping up with technology. And to argue that you're creating a derivative work of anything in the course of copying into your RAM is ludicrous to the point that is physically painful.
Well, let me make an analogy here, right? So here's what's going on. So I have a vinyl record, right? It would be one thing if I copied the vinyl record to a cassette tape and then remixed it on there, right? That is a derivative work. If I take a knife to the vinyl record and just scratch it up,
that's a derivative work.
No, it's not.
It's derivative work.
No, because I didn't derive and make a copy. I just modified the work in place.
But it's a copy in RAM because you have the code on the
disc. No,
it's
the original copy.
See, here's the trouble with this argument, and this is I can bring it up on Tuesday because I can explain it again to people who might not know. When you run a program, there's variables and shit in your RAM that's copied all over the place.
To do anything with a computer, you must copy. The computer has bits, and it puts the bits in like 10 places at all times. That's how computers work.
See,
it is impossible to compute anything without copying.
So, it's BS. For all the reasons I said, that's all I could say about that. You can look into this more if you care.
I blame this partially. I mean, like, Blizzard was against, like, the BNet D in the olden days, but now I think if Activision if they had not combined, I don't think it would be this bad.
No, I don't think it would be this bad. And the thing is, don't get me wrong, I am all for Blizzard and Valve and any company that runs online games from making sure that when it is not allowed, people are not cheating in multiplayer versus games.
You know what I think? You know what I think I'm gonna do?
What are you gonna do? Cheat?
I figured out the way to stop all cheating.
Fist through screen technology.
No, here's how you do it. You ready? It's really simple. You see, right now, Valve, for example, right, has cheating servers and non-cheating servers. But the cheating servers, right? It's like they don't actually give you any cheats. You have to still go get some hacked up cheats from somewhere. Give people the cheats, like Civ 2. Give them a fucking cheat menu with every conceivable cheat imaginable.
I believe StarCraft has something like that. I don't know.
Just give them every cheat so no one has to hack or modify the game in any way ever. There's no reason to, because we already gave you every cheat works perfectly.
But Scott, here's the thing.
And then we'll turn them on.
Don't kid yourself. 90% of the people cheating in Counter-Strike don't want to play on a server where everyone's speed hacking. They want to be the one guy who, at start, appears on the other side and knifes everyone to death.
All right.
Which is kind of hilarious the first time it happens.
So here's also what we do. You ready? In order to play our game, right, we get your address, because that's what you need to get an account. And then we come to your house and we punch you in the face. I'm done completely. Like, I'm not even joking.
Scott,
we actually come to your house.
You didn't say if they cheat. You just said we come to your house and punch you in the face.
Yeah.
Just regardless.
That's
the
the warning shot. That's just so you know. That's so you know that if you cheat, we do it to everybody. It's like, we know where you live, punch you in the face. If you cheat, we already punched you in the face once.
We may do it again.
So, I mean, you didn't even cheat or anything. You didn't even start playing the game yet.
Someone's going to get hurt real bad.
So you can just think about what will happen if you cheat on the non-cheating server. I just want you to think about that. Because, feel your face right now. Now, don't even think of it. Okay, I'm going to go now, right? And if you want to cheat on the non-cheating server, you may see me again.
But anyway, things of the day. We never get tired of these. I love it when you see middle and high school kids, or even elementary school kids, playing football or baseball, and someone pulls the trick play.
Well, I mean, the thing is, right, is trick plays don't work in professional sports that well, or pretty much ever, right?
Well, one, the rules are set to where it's basically impossible to get away with that, because two, anyone who's being paid to play football, and that is their life, and that is their career, and they will likely never do anything else except possibly commentate on football, they are not going to be tricked. That whistle blows, that ball moves, they're hitting someone.
Yeah, the thing is, in almost all sports, right, is because, coaches know that you can trick kids, they teach their kids to trick the other kids. For example, a classic thing to do in Little League Baseball, right? In Major League Baseball, if someone gets a walk, they just walk to first base, and that's it. In pretty much Little League Baseball, anything lower than minor league baseball, even high school baseball, you see this sometimes. When you get a walk, they run to first base, and if the other team's not paying attention, they'll just keep running to second. And it totally works a lot of times.
Nothing wrong with that.
Nothing wrong.
Perfectly legitimate.
It's totally sweet.
It's a situation much like how Stratego...
In Major League Baseball, if you even tried that, you would be out so fast, it wouldn't work at all.
Stratego, a board game. This is like the crux of one of the panels we used to do at PAX. If you're not good at Stratego, it is a very tactical game, and there's all these strategies you can follow in the sub-game that don't exist if you're a good player, because you know better and you know your opponent knows better. You know they won't work. You don't even bother with them. It's an entirely different game with far fewer strategic options. And sports are basically the same way. If everyone's professional and athletic, good, then 99% of the tricks just cannot work, which is why I love this shit. What else can I say? It's just another trick play. And I don't wish, we could change the rules of Major League Sports to allow for some of this.
Well, the problem is, right,
anytime there's an optimal strategy, everyone will converge upon it.
Well, college football has some of this stuff, right? There's some trick plays going on there. But if you started to, lax up the rules in, professional sports to allow, make it easier to do fancy trick plays and whatever, It wouldn't really work because everyone would just adapt to it, and it would just break the game.
Well,
more
like I
than,
said, they did anyway. In a sport where it matters, where everyone is trying to win as hard as they can, even if no one ever cheats, everyone will eventually converge upon an optimal solution because all games have an optimal solution or random.
Even in NFL football, but which is far more limited than college football in what you can do, right? There's still a huge variety of things you can do and formations and plays. You can, there's really a huge, ceiling on like all the different kind of plays you can try to do.
As opposed to say baseball, where there is a relatively limited number of strategies, and strategy mostly in baseball comes down to what talent do you have and how do you best use it.
But yet in NFL football, right, even with all those possible things you can do, there are most of the things, they hardly ever do them because they're just a bad idea.
Well, look at hockey,
or
too.
They do them incredibly rarely because they're incredibly rarely a good idea, and they'll pretty much only do them like if it's a last-ditch effort, right? For example, did you know that in certain situations, even if the clock has run out, you can get a free kick through the uprights to get 3 points, right? When does that happen? Almost never, because nobody, right? You can actually do it at the half. Like if time runs out at a certain, or like, and so it misses a field goal and it doesn't go out of the back of the end zone, you can actually go and get the ball and start running with it. How often does that happen? Hardly ever happens, right?
Well, like look at hockey. They, the trap started to dominate play, and then rules changed to get rid of that.
Hockey is actually the best professional sport in terms of just changing the rules immediately. Like that day, if they see something stupid, they just fix the rules right away.
Well, they also have the wonderful centralized adjudication.
That is also an excellent feature
Soccer
of
could
hockey.
learn a thing or two from hockey.
Soccer could learn a thing or two from anything.
No. Soccer could learn a thing or two from the 21st century. Or the 20th century, 19th.
20th, anyway.
Anyway.
I guess you want to know my thing of the day?
Perhaps.
So here's this website called inform7.com, and what this website is
it's one more than Inform 6.
Well, you know how when you're playing Action Castle, right? The computer's basically just a dick, and it's like, oh, you said, get instead of pick up, or, it's very finicky. Much like a real text adventure is incredibly finicky. You have to type in the exact right command to get it to do what you want.
Actually, Quest for Glory 2 was surprisingly lax. Anyway.
Well, I mean, yeah, but it wasn't really lax. It was just, we put in a bunch of synonyms.
Yeah.
This is actually the beginnings of a system for interactive fiction, which is another way which is the modern, appropriate way of saying text adventure.
Graphic novel.
Exactly. And basically, this engine is designed to where you can actually have the text adventures use natural language as opposed to computer language, right? So you could just be like, I go to the store, or I walk around, and and you can just type in normal stuff, and you can actually it's better than than Quest for Glory or Zork.
I feel like they're two different genres.
Yeah, I know, but the point is that this is interactive fiction with natural language. They're actually making significant real progress. It's pretty good. Check it out.
Well, think about it. Someday we'll get to the point to where on their Kindle or Nook or whatever, someone's going to download a novel that is basically a hyper-advanced choose-your-own-adventure.
I think they already have those on there, and actually it's way easier because you don't have to flip through looking for the page. You just touch your, go.
But then I can't keep my finger in all the pages and read all the deaths.
You can use the bookmark feature of the Kindle, which exists. Even iBook says
But isn't that cheating? That's like no clipping.
How is that cheating?
Using the bookmarks to go back?
Okay, why is it cheating if there's no winning and there's no losing? You're just reading a book. It's like,
oh, so maybe Blizzard should shut the fuck up about people cheating in single player. Oh!
It's like I buy a book. I'm gonna read all the pages. It's cheating if you skip a page. What do you mean? I own this whole book.
Well, you just read the end.
It's not like if there was a trophy for whoever finishes the book first.
But there is. It's an achievement.
Well,
Yeah. Anyway,
if you need a trophy to feel good about yourself finishing a book, you got bigger problems.
No, if you need a trophy to feel good about finishing a book,
if you need to feel good about finishing
send
a book,
Geeknights a self-addressed stamped envelope with $50 in it, and I will send you a trophy.
I know where more than one trophy store is in the city.
I was looking at one of those trophy stores in Midtown because I was thinking
that's probably one of the ones I know.
Might have been because I was looking at other merch to start selling, and I thought about making a trophy for smart people, and then I decided it was a stupid idea and didn't pursue it any further.
Very stupid idea.
We used to have the idea of doing a "Are You Cool" test at conventions.
We could buy the cheapest possible trophy, you know, the one that they use and they just give to everybody for showing up.
Yep.
And on it, we could engrave achievement unlocked, bought the cheapest trophy. Bought myself a trophy.
Clever girl.
Something like that.
No, we had our old idea of we would have certified awesome people, and you take our test, you got to pay to take it, and you get a certificate and a T-shirt.
All right.
Remember that? We never actually did that because we're lazy.
I thought we were just gonna choose people that we knew that were awesome and just give out awards.
Oh, that was the Geeknights. That never happened either.
Yeah, we need a sword to do that, and they had to kneel before us.
I don't want to give away swords.
No, you don't give them the sword. It's your sword.
I have a sword.
And they kneel before you, and then you knigget them.
I have that bastard sword.
The thing is, you got to be real careful when you're kniggeting someone, because remember, when they knigget the kniggets, they're wearing armor, so it goes clink, clink, but if they're not, more normal people don't have armor.
They're wearing threadless.
You're just going to chop their fucking arms off. You got to be careful.
So, the meta moment. We are going to be at MagFest, PAX East, PAX West, Anime Boston, etc.
All the nerdy conventions about the book club book is World War Z by Max Brooks, who I just learned is the son of Mel Brooks. I did not know that. Some other meta news. You should go to our website because it's slightly updated, and there's I actually sort of drew more attention towards the secret, not so secret RSS feeds. Like there's an RSS feed of things of the day and stuff like that.
Yep. Also, our forum.
You have to go to the subscribe page. You click on the top right of the frontrowcrew.com. This is a subscribe thingy that will tell you what's up.
Our forum, we haven't said this on the show in a while, is really rocking and way different from other forums on the internet. For those of you who don't know, many of our new listeners, one, grammar and spelling are required, and you get fucking banned if you can't keep that up.
Yeah, you should come to our forum. And also, I'm going to start a mailing newsletter thing soon-ish, and a lot of people say, I don't want any spam. Well, so don't fucking sign up.
Yeah.
That's pretty much all there is to it. I mean, there are people who want it, and they work well. If you, statistically speaking, they scarily work well. So
it'll also get me to start
whatever.
Writing again, because I haven't I've got like 90 half-finished blog articles I never uploaded.
Yeah, and
that's it.
Yeah,
that's it.
Oh, you can just follow us on Twitter, too.
Yeah.
Twitter.com/Geeknights. It randomly tweets out old episodes.
Old, incredibly old episodes.
And things of the day. So, if you're like someone who's new to the show, you can just follow that Twitter, and every day,
someday you'll get the vaunted, glorious masturbation episode.
Yeah. It actually just tweeted out Fast Karate for the Geeknights.
That was a good episode.
Jet Force.
I still have to make my Tanaka mashup.
Anyway,
so when I was a lad, I remember very distinctly that we would. Now we're actually quite well off. At least we seem quite well off. I would go with my parents to the local video rental store, not a chain, but a store. And in that store, they had a VHS section and a Betamax section. They also had a small Laserdisc collection in the back.
Wow.
And I would go, and I would rent one of the 10 or 11 NES games that they had.
Really? Because where I was
it was $1 a day.
We had a VHS store, and they pretty much only had VHS. And then weren't any other stores until Blockbuster showed up. And one of the first, one of the earliest Blockbusters was pretty near us, and it opened up with like a crazy grand opening that was off the hook.
Actually, way before Blockbuster came near me, we had Mammoth Video.
Wow.
And
we had like a place there were only one of. It was like Video something or other.
I don't know the history.
For all I
know, they all like bought each other or whatever. But as a kid, Mammoth Video looked exactly like Blockbuster looks now, like blue awnings and everything. And they gave you balloons with mammoths on them whenever you check stuff out. And they had consoles to rent. And they had NES games to rent.
Yeah, see, the Blockbuster, when it opened, it had the NES games, but it didn't have anything else. And then it wasn't until later that they started to add more stuff, like the consoles.
It is telling.
And the other games for other systems.
That almost none of the places I went to before the Blockbuster era had any Sega games. It was just NES. That was it.
I think I just had Blockbuster earlier than anyone else, and they kicked everyone else out of town because the Blockbuster that opened up was so gigantic. And it opened up way early in the life of
God,
Blockbuster.
Scott, I just realized when we got to RIT, we would watch anime on VHS tapes because no one had a DVD player.
Yeah.
None of us had a DVD player or a cell phone when we got to college.
Do you remember that the PS2, right, when it came out, it was very popular because it also included a DVD player.
I remember we tried to win one
and
at
the
poker
PS2
night.
was released when we were at RIT, that's when it came out.
In fact, I remember it was crazy because
They
someone
did not have PS2s before we were in college.
someone brought one to the RIT Anime Club at a social night. We played that one launch game on it for like ever.
Yep.
Wow, I feel really old.
But then within a few years, like everyone had one, and there were Japanese ones, and it was whatever.
Yep, and now RIT Anime, like no one has a VHS player. Those tapes are all useless.
I know they still charge way too much money for the slim one, and it's still slightly troublesome to emulate. Anyway.
Yeah, anyway. So I had this whole like childhood experience. Well, remember Crystalis? Good game, the end day in 1997 and all that. And I remember that I did not own it for a long time until eventually I bought it used at Funkoland.
There was a Funko Land near us. We never went to it.
I went to it all the time. It was basically free arcade.
Like, because it wasn't that near. It was like an hour away,
Oh, God. It was
but
like
I
down
always
the
saw
street.
commercials for it all the time.
Yeah. I sold Final Fantasy 1 to Funkoland for $25, and a year later I bought it back for $10.
Isn't it funny that, like, Funko Land was basically the GameStop business before EB, EB was even older than that.
But unlike GameStop.
EB started out as like Babbage's and more PC stuff.
Yeah, PC games.
And GameStop actually showed up way late in the game.
Except I wouldn't buy PC games at Babbage's because they were in the mall and overpriced. I would go to like Comp USA.
Well, you go to like Software Etc. also, but Software Etc., EB, and Babbage's were all the same thing eventually.
Yeah.
And then GameStop bought the whole thing. Whatever.
Media Play.
But it's like, why didn't Funko Land, because it was GameStop before there was GameStop, why didn't it become the
Because
king?
the used game market was so segmented and there wasn't enough money in it. Plus, parents would just drop their kids off to play
Funko
games
Land
for
was
free.
obviously big enough, but so that there was one in Michigan and in Connecticut.
One in Michigan. There were a ton. They're all over the place.
Yeah, they were all. What happened to them?
They were the only game in town. Just there wasn't enough money in it.
Yeah, I don't know.
Plus, after the N64, like everything changed rapidly. It's amazing how much the video game landscape changed in the last 30 years because we've been playing games for almost 30 years.
Yeah.
So I never owned Crystalis. And what I would do is, every couple of weeks, my parents would say, hey, let's go rent a movie. And of course, I would badger them to let me rent an NES game. And I would rent a game that I didn't own and take it home and play it just for that weekend. And I had to bring it back on Monday.
Yeah, I mean, it's like borrowing a game from a friend, except you had to pay and you had to give it back right away,
And you couldn't really beat an NES game in 3 days.
Depends on the game.
Depends on the game. Most games you couldn't beat in 3 days.
Yeah.
And did you ever rent a game more than once?
Yep.
Like Crystalis, I rented like 5 or 6 times.
I rented, I think, Faxanadu 2 times.
Faxanadu.
I gave these remake.
But the coolest thing is, they're like, I feel like there's this whole segment of gaming, like this whole world of game experience stuff that kids today will never experience. Not necessarily great experiences at times, but it's something that you just don't experience. You don't rent games, let alone even if you rent games. All right, I've rented a game on a disc for my Xbox. Crystalis, when I rented it, had a save game. The guy's name was Beer, and he was like way leveled up and had all these items I'd never seen. I would every time I rented a game, the coolest thing was looking at the save games.
Yeah, I mean, it was always, even if you borrowed like your friend Zelda and you hadn't beaten Zelda yet, and it's like, whoa, what's this stuff he's got? Or like, the best possible stuff is when you go to GameStop and you buy like a used copy of Pokemon or something.
There's Pokemon in there.
Nothing beats that.
I think I followed in the footsteps of a slightly older gamer because the character Beer in Crystalis was like level 16 and like almost beaten the game. And when I rented Earthbound, the power was Beer in the save game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. There's a whole, the thing with renting games, right? It's like, basically, we stopped renting games in the PlayStation era. Well, after the PlayStation 1 era.
No, because the
had a
PlayStation
friend-
era, everyone rented PlayStation games from Red Octane?
No.
Back in the day, remember
When
Red
I was
Octane
in
was
high
like a game
school,
rental
when I was in
system?
high school, my friend would go and he would rent like every PlayStation game at Blockbuster, copy them all no matter what the hell they were.
Yep.
All right, and he had a mod chip, and then he would return them, and he basically bought every PlayStation game for like $3 each instead of $50 each.
I did the
And he had
same
a
thing.
gigantic binder of like 200 PlayStation games.
In fact, our friend Kevin had like every PS1 game ever, and
It was
I borrowed
almost
them and
every PS1 game.
burned them all.
Even crappy ones that no one wanted to play, he would get them anyway.
See, I didn't bother with that because I used Red Octane, which used to be just an
But you didn't do that until you got to college.
Yeah, it was a Netflix of video games back then, and that was
yeah,
about
people
it.
don't realize that the same Red Octane that eventually actually made DDR pads and all that stuff, and I think is now part of that, like a conglomerate of, whatever all those companies, Harmonix and Mad Cats and whoever the fuck, I don't even know anymore. It got so convoluted. But they basically started out by being a Netflix of video games, while Netflix was still very young.
But the biggest thing they had going for them is that they had a lot of import games.
Yeah, that was the reason that they made money, is because of these import games, especially DDR at the height of its popularity. So people who wanted to copy DDR could get one easily from Red Octane, and then they would burn DDR. And because I think Red Octane saw that DDR was like this huge, incredibly popular game that was being rented from them, that's how they got into the DDR pads reselling and then making business.
I remember very distinctly, I got my PS1 that I bought for $90 at Kmart the summer after we were at RIT, and I installed my mod chip. Never used it. I installed the mod chip before I booted it. And then I put in a game that I pirated from WinMX, Mega Man Legends, I think.
Wow.
Yeah, just to see if it worked. It didn't work. I had to open it and resolder something that I broke. And then it worked. And then Red Octane delivered DDR Extra Mix.
Ah, one of the best mixes.
And I copied it, and I played DDR on that thing.
Fuck yeah.
It's just, I feel like video game rental is going to disappear completely with the modern
digital
digital
there
era.
was that game Tap thing, right? Which is not really rental, but not really buying either. It was like you pay every month.
In a way,
then you can play all these games, but if you stop paying, you have to stop playing.
We're going back to like the old shareware kind of thing where people, instead of renting a game to try it out, which is the primary I rented games for two reasons. Either the game wasn't good enough to buy, but I wanted to play it for a weekend, or I didn't know if I wanted to buy the game.
Well, I think the two things that destroyed rental, right, are number one, I already mentioned the discs being copied, right? But two, the digital distribution. But the digital distribution isn't what in and of itself what's hurt the rental, although it has partially, right? Because they still sell games on discs and whatever, right? It's the fact that not only are they distributing the games digitally, so there's nothing to rent, it's there's no physical thing. It's that you don't actually need to have the disc to play. You get the disc, you install it with the CD key, all right? So you can't even rent that shit out. But on top of that, right, what happens with the digital distribution is if a game becomes old, they lower the price and lower the price and lower the price. Because think about it. If I make a game and I sell you a copy to a store and the store rents it out 100 times, then I only sold one copy, but really, there's a whole bunch of rentals going on there, and that's how the store makes money. But if I would just lower the price on the game to $5 once it's old, no one's going to rent it from that store. They're going to give me, the maker of the game, $5 each to get the game for cheap on Steam or whatever.
There's something I think a little more subtle, too. I would rent NES games primarily, and I rented a few SNES games, and that was kind of when I stopped renting games toward the end of the SNES era.
I only ever rented NES games, and my friend rented PlayStation games. It was weird. I didn't rent any Genesis or SNES
the Genesis selection
games.
at my Blockbuster was smaller than the anime section.
Wow. Ours wasn't, but the thing is like I had the Genesis games I wanted. I need to rent any of them.
I never owned a Genesis. I rented one once for a weekend.
Uh-huh.
There weren't that many games on the Genesis I wanted to play.
I sort of played all the games that were on there that I wanted to play.
But in the NES era and the SNES era, I'm not saying this is a good thing. Don't get me wrong. I'm not on a nostalgia trip here. The majority of them, you could play them for a weekend and experience everything that was worth experiencing short of fully beating them.
I think another part of the thing was that in the NES days, right, is every game was $50, and the prices on games didn't really go down.
And there were no demos.
And there were no demos, except for you would get a rare store that had, like, a demo system.
I remember I'd go to Meijer, the supermarket, every time my parents went grocery shopping and play the Virtual Boy while they walked around.
I played before I actually ever, had a chance to play Super Metroid.
I also bought Magic cards there.
For Super Metroid for real, I played Super Metroid at a Toys R Us on a demo system, And... so it's like if you were a kid, you were desperate to get another game, and even a crappy game was good to you.
Oh my God, when my parents would take me to Toys R Us, they're like, you and your brother can buy one Nintendo game.
Holy shit, a Nintendo game. So
4 hours of us standing there staring at the games, debating which one to get.
So, and that would cost you $50 to get one game that you play forever.
Yeah, and if it was a new NES first party,
so for
Zelda 2, $70.
So to pay
Mario 3, $65.
$5 for a Nintendo game for a weekend, that was amazing in those days. In the late 80s, early 90s, holy shit.
Yep. And I remember it was interesting that I would re-rent games that were good but I wasn't willing to buy them because even if I rent it 5 times, it's still half the price of buying it at Toys R Us.
Yep. Especially if the game isn't the kind of game you need to own forever.
Well, especially now that I'm older and wiser, and I have every NES ROM ever, and going back and playing some of these games, a lot of them not worth playing.
Yeah.
Takes 5 seconds to figure out how shitty they are.
Oh, man. But see, I think part of it, though, is that, like, take a game like Kung Fu Heroes, for example, right? If I just rented that game, it would have been like, return it, right? Or if I would, if I load it up in an emulator now, it's like, whatever. But because I own that game, and I did own that game, all right? I might still have the cartridge somewhere. Because I own that game, and I had it forevers, I actually put a lot more into it, because I paid whatever for it. It was the one game that I got. I was going to play the fuck out of it.
Yeah, well,
And because I played the fuck out of it, I actually dug deep on it, and I sort of discovered more that was in that game because I had more of an investment and a reason to go for it. Whereas nowadays, there's so many games, there's no reason to try to extract all the goodness out of any game. But in those days, if a game had anything good in it, you would have to work hard to, get every last, drop of water out of that, damp rag.
You only had so many games in the first place.
I know, right?
But maybe this explains because, you're really good at Mega Man 2. I'm really good at Bionic Commando. I really like Mega Man 2, and you like Bionic Commando, but you owned Mega Man 2. I owned Bionic Commando. I only rented Mega Man 2.
See, the thing is, when I got my Nintendo, of course, day 1, I had Mario Duck Hunt, right? Day 2, Mega Man 2.
See, the first games I got were Castlevania 1 and Castlevania 2.
First game I got, Mega Man 2, Mario Duck Hunt.
After Mario Duck Hunt, obviously.
Yeah, Mario Duck Hunt, Mega Man 2.
But I was all about the Castlevania.
I picked the winner right away.
Simon's Quest is one of the first games I beat.
Shortly after that, Zelda 1.
Oh my God. I just had this weird nostalgia flashback to holding that gold cartridge before I put it in the first time.
And then Hanukkah, after it came out, Mario 3.
I bought Zelda 2 before Mario 3.
My mom put the Mario 3 in a Macy's box, so it looked like it was closed. And then I opened it up, and inside the tissue paper...
I think every Nintendo game I ever got came in a Macy's box or some equivalent.
Inside tissue paper, Mario 3.
I just remember I had to choose, my brother and I, one of the hardest decisions we ever had to make. Our choices were buy Zelda 2 or buy Mario 3.
Can't go wrong with Mario 3 is the obvious winner.
No, we got Zelda 2.
But it's not like you couldn't go wrong.
I know.
So the thing is, I did get Zelda 2 on a gray cartridge, actually, not gold.
I got gold.
I had played Zelda 2 prior to purchasing, so I knew that it was different. So I knew that Mario 3 was like a safe bet. I mean, you couldn't really go wrong with Mario 3. I mean, that game sold, at the time, that was the most sellingest thing ever.
There was just, I don't know, games had a very different feeling back when you didn't have access to GameFAQs or anything. So you'd rent a game.
If you got a game magazine, oh shit.
Usually that game didn't come with instructions because the Blockbuster didn't have them anymore. You just got this RoboCop game. You didn't know how to play it. You had 2 days to play the fuck out of it. So you didn't go outside.
Yeah, there's no internets to get help from.
Yep.
You could pay money for the Nintendo hotline, but even as a kid, I was smart enough to never pay money, anything over the phone. No 900 numbers.
I sent a letter to Nintendo Power once, and they didn't feature my question, but they sent me an answer back.
I think I sent a letter to GamePro. The only thing I ever fell for, and I sort of knew it was a scam when I was falling for it, was the Pandemonium contest.
Oh. I was desperately obsessed with the Nintendo Power contest. Because they always gave away crazy stuff, like Stormtrooper helmet that got cracked.
Do you know what the Pandemonium contest was?
Vaguely.
So basically, in the GamePro magazine, there was this advertisement every month, and the advertisement would be, solve this puzzle and mail it in, and pay with $1 or whatever. And you could win this, and it showed you the most ludicrous shit you'd ever seen, which at the time was like a 50-inch rear projection TV and a satellite dish and every game console and a surround sound stereo system and a pile of games, and even a Neo Geo was in there. It was, everything. Sega Genesis with a 32X and a CD and a Sega CD and a Super Nintendo and everything, right? It's like you could win all these things, if you solve these puzzles. So I solved the puzzle and mailed it in. And then they sent you another puzzle, which is harder. So I solved the puzzle and mailed it in with $5. And then I solved the puzzle and mailed it in with $5. And there were 5 puzzles. So obviously I mailed in the 4th puzzle, and then I got the 5th puzzle. And the 5th puzzle was the hardest puzzle of all. And without a computer, I couldn't solve it. It was basically It wasn't a puzzle where is a solution and there isn't a solution. It was get the most points you can get, and obviously to make the most money possible, you would always pass all the rounds until the last round. And then I mailed in the last round with the subpar solution, and did not. I paid like $25 and did not win a giant mound of awesomeness.
Hey, listeners, we have a trivia contest starting. If you mail us $5.
Yeah, you have to mail $5 with every answer, and then if all your answers are right, then we'll randomly select from all the people who get the 5th answer right.
What was interesting, just to get back to the topic, toward the end of the SNES era, the local Blockbusters, at least by me, started doing tournaments, and they had consoles.
Yeah, I mean, Blockbuster, after Toys R Us, Blockbuster was the gaming place.
It was a hangout. You would go and hang out there playing games with other people.
Well, because they had a game demo machine. They had consoles, and when there were big tournaments that they would have there.
Plus, all the kids in the neighborhood went to the same Blockbuster.
Toys R Us were only interested in selling games, and they had demo units. But Blockbusters actually tried to, get some gaming going on. It was kind of interesting.
It was kind of half-assed.
That too. Most of the problem, right? I always notice with that kind of thing is like in the marketing for it, they'll be like, "All right, this is gonna be a Blockbuster tournament." Oh yeah, right. But then you went to your local Blockbuster, and it was like, eh.
There's like 5 people standing there, kind of like a false start. They're like, all right, you two play Mortal Kombat, and whoever wins will play against this guy.
Yeah, it's like
because we all saw The Wizard, and we thought every video game tournament was exactly like that.
Yeah, it's like the way they present it to you is they act like it's going to be a real deal, like it's going to be something amazing and awesome and perfect and polished.
It's just like my thing of the day from last week of Video Power, where you see those kids who clearly have seen behind the veil and realize that nothing is ever going to be as awesome as The Wizard made it seem.
I think of it more like a CCG tournament, right? If you go and look at like CCG tournaments or pictures of them online, it's like, oh, look at these tournaments. Whoa. But then if you go to like your local game shop and they're playing Yu-Gi-Oh, it's like, all right, kids, it's Yu-Gi-Oh cards. Play a game. This can of Coke is going to kick all your asses.
Vanilla Coke, to be fair.
Yeah. That's all right.
But my favorite part of all this was finding the save games. Like, that specific thing I feel is lost forever. I want to make a game, because I'm playing that retro game challenge or whatever on the DS that Scott's also playing.
Oh, it's a good game.
And it tries to recreate these experiences by having like video game magazines for its made-up games inside of it.
It totally works, too. It's great.
So you get to experience the fun parts of the 80s and 90s without having to go through the bullshit of the 80s and 90s.
Well, that's because they have the games that they've made, right, are basically faux NES games, right? And what they've done is they're in the style of old NES games, but modern
people made them.
They're actually polished, modernly, so the controls aren't fucked up, and they're not unfairly hard. They're just normal hard, if they're hard at all, And it's just the graphics and the styling and the game, the gameplay mechanics are retro, but the polish and the craft is modern. So it's not like like that guy didn't even touch me. Why did I die? You don't have that bullshit going on.
We and a lot of video game commentators often get criticized.
It's like if everything the AVGN yelled at a video game was fixed, but it was still the same game.
I don't for Cheetah Man that wouldn't be anything.
I'm just saying, more for
Jekyll and Hyde, maybe
like Silver Surfer.
But the common criticism we get is that we have this like fetish for old games. We are fully aware that it sucked back then. We don't want to go back to those terrible days. But there were specific small experiences that were good that cannot be replicated in the modern gaming world. And I want to find a way to replicate that. The experience of playing a game where you have no access to outside information about it per se, at least not easy access, or you choose not to access it, and you can experience like that strange exploration of finding a save game that has way more stuff than your guy. Like, he has items you don't even know what they do. Yeah.
I don't know how you can possibly do the no outside information. The internet makes that sort of impossible.
Here's one way. Like the forest in Mario 64, you had procedurally generated games. What if you had a retro game challenge that made games and codes up in a non-easily predictable manner?
It's possible, but theoretically, but it's not realistic. But
no, it's not.
What you could do, though, is I think Minecraft really needs to get on this, is we already have the ability to save games in the cloud, quote, right? Like on Steam or Civ, right? You can save your game.
We need shared save games.
you can save your game on some server in the sky, and that way you don't. If your computer gets wiped out, your save game is safe.
I should be able to share my save game with anyone.
Well, no. Even what you could do is you can artificially shuffle up the save game. So I play my game and I save, and then I go to load, and my game's not there. I have someone else's save game. I don't have my save game.
Named Penis.
Your
with
save game,
Penisaur, and Penichar.
Yeah, your save game is now gone. Someone else has it. You have someone else's save game. So it's like, whoa.
Or there are a bunch of ways you could go about it, but there was an interesting idea of exploring a game where you look at the save game and he's got items you don't understand what they do, and because Blockbuster didn't have the manual, like no one knew what they did, and you had no way to find out short of either playing to that point or starting this scary save game in the weird part of the world.
Another thing you could do, right, is if you had a game that just had so many different aspects, right? So say, for an example, you had an MMO, and in the MMO, all these different characters did different things, right? So there's like a crafting guy and a fighting guy and an explorer guy, right? And each one is actually a drastically different game that are all good games. But when you sign on, it's like you don't have a character. You're just going to be assigned somewhere. And if there's enough different characters, right, in enough different places and enough different games, it's like you don't know what you're going to get when you play this thing. And it would take quite a long time for them to document it all in some sort of wiki.
But it'll happen. I mean, look at the Advance Wars or even the emerging Civ 5 game facts.
Yeah.
There's no way around that.
No, but I mean, it'll just take a while. And even if people look up the information, it's still, you don't know what you're going to get when you sign in.
I guess the only moral of this is, like I said, this is an aspect of gaming that is basically gone. The experiences that we had growing up, and I'm sure people who played the Atari era have similar, well, no, I know, they did have similar things that we didn't even have the ability to replicate. Until gaming converges in the future, like every generation will have such a unique experience just by the fact of how fast gaming is evolving that there will always be this kind of weird lagging nostalgia that's just going to be increasingly affecting the way games are made and played.
Well, I mean, it's even worse, right? Think about some of the stuff that they had in different countries or things that were so expensive you never had them, right? Remember there was the Sega Channel? Do you know about the Sega Channel?
I know about it because I've read Wikipedia about it.
Sega Channel is basically you got this cartridge that goes in your Genesis, and you hope that your cable provider, yes, your cable television provider supported it. Then you would take your cable television, connect it to your Sega Genesis cartridge that was the Sega Channel cartridge, turn your TV to a certain channel, and then you could actually play games that came in over the cable. But that wasn't all. In Japan,
BS Zelda.
They had BS Zelda, which is a satellite.
I thought that was a prank for the longest time.
It was a real deal. No,
because as a kid, there were rumors. There were 2 rumors.
There are ROMs of it that you can play, but they're nothing like the real thing. They're missing significant features because you just can't replicate the satellite system.
There was, I mean, the 2 rumors I remember as a kid. One, I knew the truth because I'd played a Philips. Was there's all these other Zelda games. One of them you play Zelda.
That's true.
Yep. And the other one was, there's this special Zelda you'll never get called BS Zelda. I was like, BS Zelda. Yeah.
Sounds like bullshit Zelda. But
yeah.
No, BS Zelda is totally real. And it was a Zelda game that came out in Japan that was in the same style as Zelda 1 with different maps and different everything. But it was a game that had a time element to it. Like, it was a real-time Zelda. You had to get through in a certain number of minutes and such. And you basically, it worked because the game was hooked up to a satellite system and you had to tune into the game at a certain time when the game was being played. It's
Xbox Live needs to get on that shit.
You couldn't just, well, they had that. They have 1 versus 100.
Yeah, but they need more. Imagine if, or Nintendo even.
They canceled 1 versus 100.
Imagine if every week or every month there was a worldwide WarioWare tournament.
They had 1 versus 100 on Xbox.
Yeah.
They tried that shit.
And it's gone now. That sucks. That was an entire avenue of gaming we could bring back. But now.
Yeah. I definitely think that, everyone played the game at this time. This is when the game is on. Is definitely pretty cool. And I think 1 versus 100 is actually flawed in that it was only versus 100. Why wasn't it 1 versus the entire world? Why not let everyone get in on it? Why keep some people out? No reason. You could tell the computers can handle it. It'd be all right.
No.
And that would actually be an MMO.
This has been Geek Nights with Rim and Scott. Special thanks to DJ Pretzel for the opening music, Kat Lee for web design, and Brando K for the logos.
Be sure to visit our website at frontrowcrew.com for show notes, discussion, news, and more.
Remember, Geek Nights is not one, but 4 different shows. Sci-Tech Mondays, Gaming Tuesdays, Anime Comic Wednesdays, and Indiscriminate Thursdays.
Geeknights is distributed under a Creative Commons Attribution 3.0 license. Geeknights is recorded live with no studio and no audience. But unlike those other late shows, it's actually recorded at night.